Dear friends, we have for our Gospel lesson this morning the familiar story of Jesus calming the storm. It's a familiar passage because it's full of rich meaning for us as disciples, perennial meaning. So let's pick out a few things to reflect on. The first is simply to recall what water represents in the Bible. Water represents the force of chaos, all that which is destructive of human life. In the beginning, the Spirit moved over the face of the waters, and that is representative of God bringing chaos into order, appointing the limits for the sea to keep. In Revelation, we are told that the sea shall be no more. In other words, there will no longer be anything chaotic or destructive when God dwells with us forever. So, when Jesus is calming the storm, he is expressing his divine nature, his authority over the forces of chaos that destroy life. Who is this man, that even the winds and the waves obey him? The answer, and the answer which Mark has structured his gospel around, is truly this man was the Son of God. In our own lives, chaos can sometimes seem to lurk just around the corner, poised to overwhelm us and sink our boats. Certainly the last couple of years can be seen as stormy weather in our common life. We've battened down the hatches with lockdowns and vaccine programs, waiting for the storm of COVID to pass over and through us. On a more personal level, it is the human condition that we each have times when the storms seem to be most present, when the thunder and lightning is above us, and we're tempted to cry out, "Lord, don't you care?" Yes, God cares. He also trusts us. I love the little detail that Jesus wasn't just asleep in the boat, he had his head on a cushion. I think of that as an eyewitness detail from Peter, who is telling this story to Mark for the Gospel. Jesus was tired. He had spent the day teaching and ministering to the people. He was taking a break, and he felt able to take a break because he trusted the disciples to make the passage across the lake to the other side safely. They were fishermen. They were familiar with the waters, and Jesus knows that they had the capacity to meet the storm and come through. Which is why Jesus challenges them after he wakes up. Why are you afraid? Have you no faith? Notice the contrast here between faith and fear. The biblical opposite of faith is not doubt. Doubt and faith belong together and shall never be separated. No, the opposite of faith is fear, because fear prevents us from acting on the basis of trust in God's goodness and provision for us. When we're afraid, we withdraw, we withhold ourselves, we don't sail the boat, and the storms then truly overwhelm us. As you know, I do think that the Church of England is in the midst of a storm at the moment, a storm that has been building for a long time, for several decades at least. The water seems to be overwhelming the boat. We're discovering just how good our seamanship is. We're realizing where we have fallen down on the regular tasks of keeping the vessel, as my father used to put it, shipshape and Bristol fashion, the simple but essential basics. But we have all that we need. We have the gospel. The Lord is with us. We do not need to be afraid. The Lord trusts us. We have only to attend to the basics, to recognize who Jesus is and what he has done for us, to tell his story, all the strange stories of this man asleep in a fishing boat in the midst of the storm. Let's not be afraid. Let's keep the faith. And on this Father's Day, let us remember that the Father is strong to save. Until we meet again. Amen.